You're best friends with a pedophile for 10 years, one time, and the world never forgets it.
Trump's longtime relationship with Jeffrey Epstein now casting a shadow over his presidency, as new details just keep coming to light. A resurfaced video of Epstein from a 2010 deposition raising more questions.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
But as the DOJ interviews Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell, we're seeing a disturbing shift among some MAGA faithful, some right-wing commentators appearing to defend Maxwell.
I do have a feeling that she just might be a victim. She just might be. She deserves to be out. And maybe she never deserved to be in there in the first place. I don't know, but I'm skeptical of everything and everybody these days, and you should be too.
Meanwhile, today, veteran Epstein investigative reporter Barry Levine laying out the road ahead in a new op-ed, posing questions he says need answers, like how did Epstein make his money to finance his criminal operation? Are there references to Trump in the files that shed more light on their relationship? And who exactly were the clients? Joining me now is the author of that op-ed, Barry Levine, author of The Spider, Inside the Criminal Web of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Barry, thanks for being with us tonight. So why do you think, for so long, those questions have gone unanswered?
Well, finally, we may eventually get down to the end of this road. And, beyond the journalists and authors like myself who have been looking into this case for decades, let's finally get some answers for the victims in this case. I mean, we know from the Justice Department there's over 1,000 victims. And I interviewed many women when I was working on my book, got to know them, what has happened to them over the years. They're still traumatized. They're traumatized by everything that's going on. Just over the past few years, we've lost 3 of the victims, one by suicide earlier this year, 2 of them from accidental drug overdoses. They have lived with the horrors of what happened to them for so long now. And for politics to get involved, for Donald Trump, President Trump to call it a hoax, it's just wrong. We need to see the files, but for both sides of the aisle and for the American public to finally understand what's in that material.
You point out in your op-ed that one of the areas in which we do not have much information right now is how Epstein made his money. Sort of the questions raised around a number of very sketchy transactions and also how he might have leveraged money, not just made his money, but used that money. Senator Ron Wyden been very aggressive about pursuing the same line of questioning. Walk us through what more you want to know there and what you think the financial side of the story could teach us.
Well, it's the old follow the money. And it's so important now that we're finally getting to the roots of that. And I applaud the senator for making that investigation. He learned, for instance, that there were more than 4,000 wire transfers, totaling almost $1 billion of money that flowed eventually through Russian banks. You have to understand, Jeffrey Epstein was running an international sex trafficking operation. And certainly in the last decade, that operation was being run out of his island in the Virgin Islands. He was ferrying in young women and children from Russia, from several other countries in Eastern Europe. And there were fixers involved. There were men who were putting these girls and children on planes and then taking them in boats to his island. We know from the Attorney General in the Virgin Islands, in her report after Jeffrey Epstein's death, that the workers at the airport saw children as young as 12 years old getting off of planes and being taken to his island. So there was a great deal of money that changed hands to make all of that happen. The airplanes, the boats, the fixers. At one point, he had his estate, or his co-executors of his estate, allegedly get involved in 4 sham marriages so they could avoid immigration issues with some of the women. Now, of course, his two co-executors of his estate have denied that they were aware of any wrongdoing. But we need to see those documents. We need to see in a way to understand all of this. And we know that banks here in America, Chase, for instance, they had to pay out more than $80 million to his victims because they were accused in lawsuits of looking the other way. So we need to tally all of that money and find out, are there financial crimes involved? And that has nothing to do with actually how Jeffrey Epstein made his money. We know, for instance, at the beginning, he was a benefactor of Les Wexner, the L Brands founder. And also at the end of his life, he was a recipient of Leon Black, the Apollo Global co-founder in New York. Now, both of these men have denied any wrongdoing. Jeffrey Epstein was paid for tax advice, for financial services, for consulting. But that money went to, as the Attorney General said, some of that money went into his company in the Virgin Islands, Southern Trust, which she said was a criminal enterprise. So we really need to unravel all of that and find out if some of these international fixers or others who transported these girls or took part in this operation could be prosecuted.